The Woman King reigns supreme at the weekend box office, opening #1 at a relatively lackluster weekend at the box office, generally speaking. But credit where credit's due, it opened up #1. But there is a lot of conversation surrounding this film, and there's a lot of layers to this onion that we're going to have to peel back. So first and foremost, the film's star decided to go and attack people before the film even came out, setting a very interesting narrative. Now, this is the film's star, and she said, you're supporting that narrative. The Woman King star, Viola Davis, says if fans don't see her movie, they believe black women can't lead the box office. That's what they're doing. They're supporting that narrative that they don't go see it. That was before it even released. You were already doing it. And we know time and time again, we've seen this is never a long-term solution for success. It never is. But hey, you opened up #1. Very low weekend at the box office overall, but you still opened up #1. And of course, you're getting your headlines like this. The Woman King is an original black film with a female director, and it's #1. Now, it's interesting how we never got those same headlines about, other films that didn't line up with the narrative that could have had the same headline, but they didn't have the right narrative, and we'll talk about that here in just a little while. But the most interesting aspect of this is that when you go over to Rotten Tomatoes, you are sitting at a 99%, a 99%. A 4.9 out of 5 average review on the audience side. Now, critics gave it a 94. That's not surprising. Everyone expected that. 99% from the audience. 4.9 out of 5. Average review, ladies and gentlemen. Average. That is insane. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that's an insane rating. And there are reasons where you could probably question that, but let's not question it. Let's just accept it for what it is. What happened to review bombing? What happened to all the racists and the sexists? Did they just not really want to talk about this movie? Hey, you always say that anytime a film gets bad audience reviews, that it's being review bombed by racists and sexists. So now you have The Woman King sitting at a 4.9 out of 5. So has racism just been cured? Has sexism been cured? Is it over with? It's an interesting situation that the mainstream media in Hollywood's going to find themselves in the next time that they want to go and say fans are review bombing something when it's getting bad reviews. Because this film, as it stands right now, is sitting at an insane 99%. An insane 99%. Now, again, they love their headlines. And this is, like I said, this stupid headline right here. They could have ran with this headline for another film that has a really good audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And that would be this film right here, the 2019 Shaft film, with a 94% audience score. 4.6 out of 5. 4.6 out of 5. Well, this had a black director and an all-black cast. Why didn't you make the same headline? Why didn't you make the same headline about this film that you made about The Woman King? Now, of course, the critics review bombed it. I'm sorry. Well, isn't that what happens when it doesn't line up? We're supposed to say you review bombed it because the critics clearly hate black people and they're intimidated by them, right? That's how you get the 34%. Because if this film, an all-black film with a black director, if this film would have had a 94% critic score and it would have had a 34% audience score, what do you think the narrative would have been? Pretty interesting how that narrative didn't get built around the critics. But of course, when the fans have that same score, they're just review bombing. So interestingly, that this film, which was very much not a PC film at all. And I love this movie, by the way. But it's interesting how this didn't get the same headlines as The Woman King. It's almost like there wasn't a narrative to be built around it. Now, I know there's some questions about The Woman King's score, but if you go to the trailer, look at the trailer ratio. 439,000 downvotes to 54,000 upvotes. A mega ratio. And yet, here we are now with it having a 99% and a 4.9 out of 5. This doesn't add up, but we're still going to take this at face value for argument's sake. Because now I am of the belief that racism and misogyny has ended, ladies and gentlemen, for the rest of time now. No film can ever be review bombed. We are looking at legitimate numbers. All numbers now are legitimate. 100% legitimate. You cannot question them at all. So any fan score moving forward means it's 100% legitimate, and we cannot question it whatsoever. So for the rest of time, or at least as long as Rotten Tomatoes is a thing, we're never going to be able to question that, because we can't question the Woman King in that 4.9 out of 5. Now, and there is more to this. So if you go to IMDb, you have a 5.9. Now, again, those two numbers aren't really adding up. 99%, 4.9 out of 5 versus a 5.9 out of 10. This is literally a perfect score versus this being not so much a perfect score. Now, most of the time you would think, oh, these numbers should be much closer. IMDb's ratings are just different, especially out of 10. They're just different. Plus, you have Rotten Tomatoes doing the verified scores, all of that. But for argument's sake, we'll go to a film that I very much enjoy, the 2019 Shaft, and it says 94%, 4.6 out of 5. So you would think, okay, if I go over to IMDb, if there's no funny business going on, if I go to IMDb, I'm going to see a similar high score. Well, that's not the case. If you go over there, you got a 6.4 out of 10. That's similar to the Woman King's drop-off. It really is. So that context has to be given in this situation. Now, do I think that there's some funny business going on here? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. But I make my case so many times through the Rotten Tomatoes audience score that I'm not going to fight it, because I'm just going to take this to say, now there's no more racism and misogyny. Now we can now move forward and take every fan score authentically. And now you can never say that any fans are review bombing any film ever now, because the Woman King score is telling us that fans love when women and black people are leading films. So never again can we have the narrative written by the mainstream media that fans are review bombing. This is crazy. Now, you have the boycott movement going on with all of the historical inaccuracies reportedly in this film as well. I think this is going to be a discussion for weeks and weeks. I don't know how long this is going to play out, but it is very, very interesting to watch all of this unfold. I don't have any plans to watch The Woman King. It doesn't mean that I won't see it, but I have no plans to see it at this particular moment in time. I will be covering the discussion surrounding it because it's a fascinating discussion. And I'm just happy to know that review bombing has now ended. There is no such thing as review bombing, because we have proven now through The Woman King that if fans can accept this film and not review bombing, then they're not review bombing anything. That's how I'm going to take this, because we'll play by your rules, mainstream media. We'll play by your broken logic, mainstream media, because you love when we do that, don't you? Because every time I brought this film up and I said, hey, 34% must mean you're all racist and sexist. Oh, you can't say that. Well, that's what you say when the roles are reversed, but they don't like when you use their logic against them. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out this video. I appreciate all of you. Smash the melee button, share the video, go to 221B, get your Geeks and Gamers merch, and we will talk to you later.